All right, cool. Dr. Clarke, you can come on up. I love that sweater. Yes.
Wow, we made it to the day. I am Dr. Makeba Clarke. My group, we're going to talk about low-cost vet access. We have Alex following next with Trio Pet Charities, and then Dr. Serena. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself and how I got here. I'm the founder and executive director of Victorious Community. I originally grew up in Boston, Massachusetts. I was part of a program called METCO. It was a busing system. I was bused from the inner city to the suburbs for a better education. Throughout that program, from first to 12th grade, I was one of three African Americans in a school of about 500 white kids. And then in high school, I was one of 100 out of 1,200. A lot of the education that went on happened outside of the classroom. We learned about adversity, identity, and the politics of race and money. I then went to Roxbury Community College, which is a 2-year program. It took me 4 years. During that time, I worked as a groomer's assistant, a bather, and in a smoothie shop. It was very hard to break into veterinary medicine. A lot of people wanted me to volunteer. I could not. I needed to make money. So I could not volunteer. I just had to do what I could in the hopes that I could get into veterinary medicine. At 21, I met my first African American veterinarian, and at that time, a whole new world opened up. His name was Dr. Alfred Gaskin. He went to Tuskegee University and introduced me to other Black vets that went to Tuskegee. I was gonna go to UMass Boston, but in meeting the Dr. Gaskins, the Dr. Jarrells, I then decided to go to Tuskegee, who coincidentally graduates 75% of all Black vets in the United States. During my time at Tuskegee, I made connections, met people from all over the country, Puerto Rico, all over the world. In 2012, I completed my doctorate in veterinary medicine. Since that time, I've worked in corporate veterinary space, emergency medicine, and nonprofit work in South Florida. It wasn't till 2019 when I moved back to Atlanta, Georgia, that I hung my shingle at Southwest Veterinary Clinic and took over an existing clinic that had already been there since 1972. Dr. McCant started Southwest Veterinary Clinic then, and he's done the work since then. It was just me that put a name to it, but I want to just really focus on how this work had already been getting done without a nonprofit. So our mission is, it's a nonprofit operating out of Southwest Veterinary Clinic with a mission to educate and assist pet owners in Southwest Atlanta by, one, providing free to low cost vaccines, spay and neutering services, and other preventative care, developing partnerships and events to educate and amplify our message of ethical pet ownership. And 3, offering funds for emergency surgeries and other emergency services for financially strapped, hard to reach BIPOC pet owners. And our vision is a community in Atlanta that is empowered, grounded in principle, and living victoriously by caring for our pets, each other, and the world around us. And our goal is to help at least 1,000 pets in a year's time in some capacity. Like I said, it was founded in 2022, but Dr. McCant had been doing the work since 1972, and since 2019, I have been doing things behind the scenes. Pet owners come to me for help. They may not have the money, but they have the heart. They have the pets. So since that time, we have helped a few pets, and we'll get to that slide after, but we help about 5 to 10 critical pet families weekly, either with resources or money. Right now, we are helping, I call her the cat lady. She does not have a nonprofit, but she traps cats and brings them to me, and I spay them. And we do about 5 to 10 a week, kittens or smaller cats, and then we release them back into the environment because they don't have any homes. They're basically feral. And then we talk about the relational coordination. So between the pet parent, the veterinarian, the community, there has to be, for the relationship to form, there has to be shared goals. Our goals is to help the pets in the community, shared knowledge and mutual respect. I've been in the veterinary space for 10 years, and in that time, I see how some owners are treated when they come into clinics. When they come and they look a certain way or they talk a certain way, they are assumed to not care. They're assumed that they're abusing the pet or they shouldn't have the pet. And the only option in some cases is to take the pet from them and give them to a more deserving home. But I think at this point we're moving away from that model and we're trying to keep the pets in the homes. Since I've been in Atlanta, I've had to work with some animal abuse cases, but not on the side where I'm in court talking on the side of animal control. It's me defending the pet parents that come to me saying, no, they've come to me for heartworm prevention, flea and tick, vaccines. Yes, their dog was outside. This is a real case, but their house burnt down. They didn't have anywhere to put their dog. So no, if they're not abusing their dog, they didn't have the resources they needed in that moment to do something with their family member with 4 legs. So we want to be a resource in that way for the community as well. This is our Instagram, Victorious Community, and the name Victorious is an offshoot of victorious. When I was starting my first company, I kept seeing this word, victory, victory. Sometimes when you're doing something you've never done and you don't know anybody who's ever done it, you have to be your biggest cheerleader. So in being my biggest cheerleader for the community, I want everybody to feel victorious about what they're doing for pets and people. And the community aspect is me as a vet, pet parents, organizations like care centers, Pitties and Kitties, For the Love of Pets, all coming together to help pets and their families live better, more victorious lives. Next slide, please. It's okay, it's coming. So what is working? I think my biggest success is partnering with care centers. Let's give them a, yeah. You may have this idea, but you don't know everything. You don't even know how to set up a nonprofit in some cases. So Care Centers has helped me take this idea and make it an actual 501(c). Take this idea and start thinking about, what do my volunteers look like? What do I want to do? Who do I want to help? I've partnered with the library in my community. I've been a volunteer with them before, but they are invested in helping me hold monthly vaccine clinics in the neighborhood where we can do rabies vaccines and then slowly add other preventative care services. A lot of times the barrier to care starts with the basics. I know a few of my pet parents have had run-ins with animal control, and the basis of their argument is your dog's roaming and it doesn't even have a rabies vaccine. It doesn't even have a microchip. And they're like, I love my dog, I just let it lapse. So getting them the basics will bring them a little bit more respect, a little bit more grounding to say, no, I do love my dog, I just don't have it, but I do. Oh, 1 minute. Okay, moving the needle forward with additional relationships in the Southwest Atlanta community. Board members and an advisory board has been established. And I have members of the community, and I have somebody on my advisory board who has their MPA and has been in the nonprofit space for 20 years. We have a vaccine clinic scheduled for December 2022. Next slide, please. Challenges: you need supplies. I am a veterinarian, but you need needles, syringes, you need imidacide for heartworm treatment, you need vaccines, you need suture. So the supplies we need skilled volunteers. When we think about volunteers, it can't just be anybody in the veterinary space. They have to be able to hold a dog and know animal behavior, and then a sustainable infrastructure. And I think that's it for now, but we can talk more individually, and thank you for letting me have this time to talk about Victoria's community.